What is up, everyone, and welcome to the Real Ones Canes podcast. That is Cam Underwood, managing editor, State of the U. Go to stateoftheu.com right now. Check out all of their amazing Miami Hurricanes coverage, open 24/7, 365, and it is free. You can follow Cam on Twitter if you'd like at Underwood Sports. You can follow me at Miami Radio Beast. I am the Beast, Brian London. I don't have a website to edit, but I'd like to someday. We'll see. We'll figure that out. In any event, Cam, we come to the people about, well, we are recording this, I should say, 24 hours, just about 24 hours after kickoff of Miami and Indiana, the national championship game at Hard Rock Stadium, where you and I were outside, chilly, in sections 355 or 356. Enjoying the game among the masses in the auxiliary press box. And it was fun for a bit. It was a good time had by all. It was festive. But in the end, Miami was hit a couple times in the face, but struck back. And in the end, Indiana survived the last glimpses of hope that Miami had as Carson Beck threw a pass that we think was intended for Marion, who never turned around for the ball, and definitely a miscommunication. Regardless, Miami loses the national championship game. The final score, Indiana 27, Miami 21. Indiana wins their first national championship. Miami will go into the offseason being the backup, the runner-up, the not-so-good enough, number 2.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Good to see you. I'm glad to be here. It is entirely my fault that we are recording today and not, this evening and not, in the wee hours of the morning. Just wanted to put that out there, and everything. But
I didn't say anything.
I did. Hey, it's fine. It's cool. But yeah, like, subscribe, share, comment, all of those things. And yeah, it was, a momentous occasion, obviously, to be there. I was taking pictures and video on field before the game. And just, it was really, really cool. I thought just from like a different perspective, it was really cool to actually be in the stands for the game. Yeah, I thought
for sure,
because you got the double, triple thick, glass on the press box, so you're there, but you're not like in the stadium. But
you're not immersed in the atmosphere. Like we're in the press box. Yeah, like we're not among we're not in the atmosphere. We can't really tell the buzz in the stadium, all that stuff. Yeah,
yeah. You can hear when the chants start going and everything, but you don't feel it. But the crowd pop when Mark Fletcher burst through the hole on his long touchdown run.
Oh, when I was
there.
Yeah, I was in the press elevator, so I
knew
something was happening, but I didn't know what.
And it's funny because where I was sitting, next, kind of down over right there next to me, was the snack area for the people, the media members who were sitting in our sections. And so Beast comes up, he's like, "Yo, what happened?" I'm like, "Yo, what?" And but my point was being in the stadium, in the stands, to hear and feel that crowd pop and see that. And it was from where we were sitting, we were right behind the offense. So I saw it part, and then he hit, and it was running away from us, but it was like a perfect shot of it from where we were. And it was really a cool experience, to be there in a media capacity, but not removed as normal, but literally in the stands. 1 second, the next section over, I found out that a few of my buddies were shout out to Roman, his lovely wife, Toast from the Orange Bowl Boys.
Yeah.
They were literally in the next section over, and later in the game they were kind of going out, and I was like, "Yo," you know what I mean? But that's how close we were to just Toast, everybody. It was really cool.
Toast was sending me pictures of myself.
Yeah, I looked over. I thought that was him, but I was trying to do whatever. But it was. I don't know where you want to start, man. Like,
Well,
what do you want to, where do you want to begin the conversation? Because
let me lay it out like this.
Loses,
let me lay it out like this because people are tuning in for all sorts of reasons.
Of course.
So here's what we're going to do in this show. We're going to spend the first part of the show talking about the game, specifically the game, the good, the bad, the ugly, as Cam wrote for StateOfTheU.com. Okay. And then we will take a break, and then we will discuss the season in totality.
Yeah.
Don't let me forget. I don't know if we don't have time in the show, we will bring it up next show. But I do want to discuss something they talked about the Levitard show this morning was worst losses, biggest losses in Miami history, like where you felt the worst.
Okay.
So we'll come up, but just a couple to keep in mind for the people out there while you're marinating, while we're talking. We got the fatigue game, Penn State Fiesta Bowl in the '80s with Vinny Testaverde throwing interceptions. We got the Fiesta Bowl, obviously, against Ohio State. That I think that's always going to be number one, no matter what. Right. But you do have some other runners up. The George Teague, Lamar Thomas game against Alabama, Sugar Bowl, a game I was at. As a member of the Band of the Hour, was Miami, Nebraska, 94 Orange Bowl. Warren Sapp had a great first half, but Miami just was overpowered by Tommy Frazier and Nebraska's offense. But there's some other ones out there for sure. So just keep those in mind as we're going throughout the show. And the other thing is this. The one thing that we are not going to get to, there's breaking news about Darian Mensah and the transfer portal and Emery's out and all this stuff. We're not covering that in this show. We'll get to that later in the week. We'll get to that in a different show. We don't have time. Plus, by the time we throw this down, I edit, get it up, things are already going to change in the portal. So we'll just let that sit for a bit. So, Cam, let's jump into the game.
Let's do it.
From the get-go, Miami did not win the coin toss. Inez Cooper picked tails. It was heads. Indiana deferred. Miami gets the ball first. They have to punt. I think.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that it started out kind of like we're feeling each other out here, like we're seeing what's going on, and then it looked like Indiana was finding their mo a little bit. That was kind of my impression of like the first quarter and a half, first half. Was that kind of situation.
So, I mean, I definitely agree with that to an extent. The thing for me was early success because, 2 plays in the first down to start the game. So okay, like we can compete. You know what I mean? Like, they were a very good team. We're a very good team. And we said, definitely respect them. And, there were so many, like Indiana fans around, obviously, it was probably 55-45, 60-40 in their favor. But like Miami people showed up. Like it wasn't more than that. It really was. And
I thought it was, I'll be honest with you, I thought it was more 60-70% Indiana.
Nah.
Really?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Okay.
Not from what I saw, not from what I heard. Absolutely not. It was not that lopsided. It was not that. But yeah, credit to them. They're a great team, and so was Miami. And we, immediately showed that we could play with them. Offensively, after the first down, after 2 plays, we went 15 plays with no first down. So the subsequent 3 plays on that drive, and then 4 consecutive 3-and-outs after. Was it 14, 15, or 12? Let me go back because I leave the stats up for this very reason. Let's go drives. I'm sorry, it was 12 consecutive plays with no first down after the first 2 plays of the game. That was really, I think it had a bigger impact on the result than people might think. And I know it's early, and I know things happened after that, but it was the defense doing their dollar. Like you got Bain with run stops. You had Lightfoot just absolutely trucking a running back trying to block him on a third down. Out of my face, little buddy. Weight room. You know what I mean? And just making plays all over the place. And so you're like, okay, it's like we're good. We're good. We're in this. Even if you're down 3-0, we're in this. Even if you're down 10-0, we're in this. Except for didn't necessarily feel that way because offense did Nathan. I mean, just nothing. And
Dude,
that
it was 10 it was 10-0 at the half, and I went downstairs to the main press box and had a gaggle with Chris Stock from Inside the U and Manny Navarro and a bunch of other guys. And we all agreed it felt worse than 10-0 at the half.
Oh my God, yeah. And especially when you're coming off of that final drive. So when it got to be 10-0, because it was 3-0 early, and then they got in a long drive, and then they had that funky, Maryland I formation, fullback, H-back, tight end, whatever player dive for a touchdown. Then it's 10-0, and you're like, okay, Miami gets the ball back. We're going into the middle 8 because it's only 3.5 minutes left in the first half, or 5, or whatever it was. You need points here now. You have to get a first down. You cannot give up this touchdown and then just put your defense back out there. Like, offense, you got to do something. And Mario knew that. And you go for a 4th and 2 on your own 34-yard line. And I agree with the call to go, because if you're trying to be that decision is, shout out to Bud Elliott, longtime friend of mine, was the, SB Nation. He's over CBS Sports now and everything like that. But that's where he would say, in a normal regular season game, are you playing to be competitive? And, it could open the door to get boat raced? Or are you playing to make the scoreboard acceptable? Right? Because you're playing to make the scoreboard acceptable, you punt there and then you hope that you give up, nothing or maybe 3 points. But opening the door to get boat raced but also to potentially compete is I'm going for it deep in my own end, having had no success on any third down yet, and I'm going to take the result because I know that the game is in the balance right now.
High risk, high reward.
Exactly. But then you go down the field, and now you're inside their 35 on 4th and 2, and you decide to kick?
Yeah, I don't like the decision.
Like the disparity of decision making there, the change and turn to go conservative there and to say, "Oh, I want to take the points on a 50-yard field goal, fam." I know that Carter Davis is very good. That's not a gimme, and you've already put your chips to the middle. Now you're trying to, get insurance. Now you're trying to hedge your bets. F the noise, bro. That was a go for it situation, and then. Missing that? Oh, I mean, just gut punch. So you have all of that, and then you go into the half where, we all left from upstairs because it's cold. And then, that's what we're talking about. It felt, way worse than 10-0 and a half.
So I saw Will Manso somewhere, I don't know, maybe it was in line in the men's room, and he said, listen, man, if that's a 35-yarder, if that's a 32-yarder, yeah, sure, kick the field goal.
Mm-hmm.
But at 50,
no,
not a sure thing. And you know what? At some point, you've got to play to win the game.
And you did on that drive with the earlier decision way in your own end. So why are you cutting out your own knees from under you? That was my own, the only game management issue I had. Right, it's a major one. But that's the only game management issue I had with Mario. I thought he did really, really well the rest of the way.
So just let me take you into the post-game press conference, because the way it worked for the national championship game is different than it works for all the other regular season games. I went to the normal post-game press conference, which is put on by the college football national championship people. And they bring 3 players and the coach up to a table, and you ask questions. They hand you the mic, blah, blah, blah. But for this game, they also had a breakout room where they brought other players that weren't going to be in the press conference room to go, speak and do media. And so you had to pick or choose, right? You couldn't be at Mario's press conference with Ruben Bain, Mark Fletcher, and Akeem Mesidor. You couldn't be there and also in the other room with Carson Beck and all the other players. So I chose to go cover the main press conference. Most of the media went to the breakout room. So it was me, Tim Reynolds, Andrea Adelson from ESPN, Gary Furman, David Lake, and maybe one other random dude from some other publication. That was it in the whole press conference.
Wow, that's crazy.
And so no one, like, we just kept looking around because we asked questions. And then I wanted to ask, like, Andrea and I were sitting next to each other and we were both like, we got to ask about this. We got to ask about this. But it just was like, it just wasn't
weird.
It was just weird situation in there. And the normal questions that get asked about, hey, Mario, why did you decide to kick the field goal instead of going for it on fourth down, just like did not get asked. And I feel partly responsible for it because I was one of 6 people in there. But it was just obviously, listen, man, you and I have both covered losses. Right?
Oh, yeah.
And we've been in those press conferences after a loss. But for a regular season game and a loss, it's like if you have to ask a question, you ask a question, and it is what it is. After that loss, like, I'm just looking at those 3 guys up on stage. They did not want to be there. Mario is just like, he just looked like the entire season just came out of him, right? And it's just like, all right, I asked my one question, and I think my answer made it most everywhere. It was talk about the journey between, from when those 3 guys got here to now, and he gave a great answer. So I didn't want to press my luck ask another question, but yeah, no one asked game specific questions other than about Carson's throw. It was all big picture stuff. There was no like, hey, why'd you do this? Or what were you thinking on this? None of that got asked to Mario in the press conference.
Interesting. And I get it now. I mean, I understand it now from a structural standpoint.
Yeah.
I did not go to the presser at all yesterday.
You were writing, so I get it.
Yeah, and just beat feet. I was just gone out of there. I wanted to beat the traffic because I knew that all the Indiana fans were going to obviously celebrate, and I didn't have it in me to watch another team. So I went down to the sideline to watch the last drive. I got great video of the interception. I was like literally right there. So that's great. Go look at my Twitter feed on Miami Radio Beast if you want a great angle of it. And as soon as the interception is complete, I walked off the field. Like, I didn't wait. I was not gonna watch graffiti. Yeah. No, I mean, I hear you. I stayed up in the stands. Just because it didn't feel right to like try to pack everything up and tweet from my phone, and I just said, I'm gonna stay here with the people. To be here for everybody who's not here and whatnot. But yeah, so it back to the lecture at hand, it did feel worse than 10-0 at the half.
Right.
For sure. Came out of the half with our hair on fire, got a 3 and out.
Oh,
so
yeah,
you feel
defense,
okay.
Man.
All right. Defense is still hooping. Like, and I think I tweeted, I said, offense like my kingdom for some points on this drive. And something else that I saw early, and I tweeted in the first quarter, looking back at it, a couple of the first runs for Fletcher were like outside zone, stretch, kind of things. And I said, Shannon Dawson seeing something he's trying to exploit, but then he went away from it. And then we went to the pistol stretch play on that drive, and it popped. And instantaneously, we have a ball game, 10-7.
Yeah.
Boom. All right. Like, it was tough sledding, but, cool.
Wait.
And I thought that punch back was necessary.
All right. When I watch games in person, I lose track of what because I have ADHD, man. I'm looking at a dude in section, 302. I'm checking out whatever. What song is the DJ playing? What are they showing on the board? Like, my brain just goes all over the place. So I lose track of when things happen. The block punt happens when?
The block punt happens later. The blocked punt.
Second half.
Yeah, later in second half. Block punt was third quarter midway.
And the score at that point, had Miami scored at that point?
Miami had scored. That made it 17-7.
Okay. So 17-7. Okay, so let's get up to that point, and then I want to talk about the block punt.
Yeah. So I mean, look, you had the 57-yard run on that, and then after that.
By the way, great block by CJ Daniels on that run.
Great block by Daniels. Great block by Bauman.
Yeah.
Because those were the two that created the lane.
Right. Yeah.
And then also Francis Mauinoa. So everybody on that right side.
Yeah.
From the end of the line out. I mean, honestly, but like really those three on the edge. Yeah. And then Indiana gets a, or they punt after 4 plays, and then we went back to the shenanigans with a 3-and-out that did not have the blocked punt, by the way. Then we get another punt, and that was the one that Malachi Toney fielded on the 4.
And can we discuss that?
Yeah, no, I definitely want to discuss that. I thought it was such a terrible play.
Yeah.
Because that ball was smoked. That kicker, I mean, full kick bar, perfect contact. Like, that ball was smoked. It's bouncing and then bounding. It might have hit me in the face going through the end zone and bumping and jumping to 356 where I was sitting. That's how hard that ball was kicked. So to see that with its trajectory and velocity and think, I'm going to catch this instead of like, I'm going to let it go and take it on the 20, I thought that was a terrible decision.
So
then he returns it to the 7.
Yeah.
Which was also not great.
Yeah, so let me just talk about that play. So Indiana punts it. Their punter had a 41 during the season, had about a 41-42 average. Malachi Toney originally was planted on the 20. And
just short of the 20, 15,
right,
20.
Yeah. And then he had to move back because the thing was boomed. Well, the reason why I believe he fielded it instead of letting it go is because I just noticed this before we started playing. I didn't know this until we started recording. I didn't notice until about 30 minutes ago.
Me either.
I saw a side view. They were going to set up a throw across. Malachi was going to throw it to the other side of the field. I don't know who was there. I couldn't see from the angle, but I can tell you that if that play happens, if he throws it to the guy that was there was no one there. He would have run for a touchdown.
Yeah.
He would have run for a touchdown.
He would have crawled for a touchdown. He would have done the worm for a touchdown. So he would have done a backwards gorilla walk for a touchdown.
I believe that Malachi knew the play was on, which is why he caught the ball, which was a bad idea. But I think he just was like, oh, if I can still catch this and make the throw, we got something on.
Right.
I think that was the thinking there.
I get it, and I think that was a freshman moment for him because because the play is on doesn't mean that the play is available. You know what I mean? Like had he caught the ball at the 20 or the 15, right? Because now the other returner, so it wasn't a return man, it was one of the gunners. I think he was inside, so towards the tight end-ish position, and there was a guy one-on-one with their gunner, so he's coming over this way, and the guy who's kind of by the hash mark just goes straight back, keeps his width, right? But now he doesn't have to only get to the 18-yard line for a back. Now he has to get in the end zone. You know what I mean? And so it just changes all of the geometry of everything. And like when I saw it was a tweet from Jeff Schwartz, I have retweeted it on the StateOfTheU Twitter and everything as well. So you guys can go see that. But it's clear as day. They had a throwback set up and everything. But because Malachi Toney had to change his position by 15, if not 20 yards to receive the ball, it just changed so that took the play from being on to being off. But I think, and he's an incredible player, but I think it was a freshman moment where he just said, well, it's on and I'm going to do it. And then, okay. And he kind of looked and whatever. And then I was like, what is he hesitating for? But then I see he's waiting for the guy to get where he needs to be because he has to go another 20 yards. Then he gets tackled on the 7. Then we do nothing. Then that's a 3-and-out. And it was there that Alex Bauman decided to cut his guy. Oh. They were in punt safe defense.
Punt safe. Yep. That means they weren't rushing.
Meaning they left their base defense basically out there.
Yeah.
So you had dudes playing corner, you had dudes playing linebacker. Like they're in punt safe.
Yeah, definitely was not punt block.
And you let the guy in front of you go free.
And Cam, I've watched this play 27 times because in person, I thought that I saw what I saw, but I mean, the replay, like it's bad. Like it's like Bauman, like it was bad.
I mean, look, the point of fact is this. You can look at any great number of individual plays that were the difference between Miami being champions or not.
Yeah.
This is at the top of the list.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, like, there's blame to go around. If you want to say, no, Cam, that's not it. It's the Carson Beck throw at the end. That's the one. Cool. Hey, I'm not going to argue with you, right?
Fine, yeah.
If you want to say, oh, it was y'all didn't make a tackle on 4th and goal, and Fernando, that's the play. Cool. You could look at so many plays and call it the play. We had a dropped interception. We had a possible dropped interception.
Right.
So there are many plays where had those plays gone the other way, we're sitting here celebrating a 6th national championship by one play. Now, and there were many opportunities to make that play. To my mind, however, this is at the top of the list. Yeah. I will always remember that missed block by Alex Bowman for costing Miami a championship. Whether that is fair, whether that is unfair, whether people agree or see something else, that is what I will think. And early in this episode, that's going to be the thing I want you to comment. Which one play would you want to have go the other way from the game? Don't give me a list. Don't give me, because I know that the list is exhaustive. But for you, dear listener or watcher, which one play did you feel in your heart, had it gone the other way, Miami would have won a championship? Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, do that. I just a real quick on Alex Bauman. Like, he made one great catch last night that kept a drive alive. That was amazing. Mm-hmm. But other than that, he dropped 2 at least. And okay, like I said, at least. So 3 and gave up what ended up being a blocked punt. You in a national championship game, you just can't. So
I mean, I'm not ready for primetime player. You know, he was.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. He ended up starting the season at tight end, but that's only because he beat out Elijah Lofton, who we were told again that was supposed to be the best player on offense. But that didn't happen.
But his absence was massive. If you see it,
yeah, without a doubt, And by the way, I hope Elijah Lofton recovers because evidently, I mean, he was spitting blood. So. But just real quick and aside, like, I don't know whether it's Luka Gilbert. I don't know why he never played this year, but
he did.
Brock Shot. He did.
He wasn't featured, but yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I guess,
right.
And Brock Shot went off to Indiana. Miami's got to find a reliable pass catching tight end that could be a part of the offense.
I mean, Gilbert has great talent, and he did play. He even played in the championship game. Selected snaps. I really like him. We have a pair of tight ends in this here recruiting class, adding in as well. Though we've joked about Elijah Lofton and everything, like, you saw that he was a starting caliber player. Like, you saw a player who was not starting caliber in totality. He's a role player, but he's not a star. You know what I mean? Like, you're in a couple ensemble scenes and you have a couple speaking lines and that's it. You're not going to be center stage singing the main title song of the musical, my guy. Like, that's not your role here. But he was thrust in that role, and again, not ready for primetime player. It was just very, very obvious, how that went. Past that, Malachi Toney is a monster.
Yeah,
absolute monster.
Yeah, I mean, then he got into the mix and it got fun.
I mean, look, Mark Fletcher is incredible.
Yeah, he is. We're going to talk about him a lot on the other side of the break, but yeah.
Right. The only player this season to run for 100 yards against Indiana. Mark Fletcher, 17 for 112 and 2 tuds, 6.6 per carry. Absolutely did what he needed to do. Malachi Toney, 10 catches for 122 and a tud. And this is after he started slowly because, they were super keyed on him. And then Shannon Dawson just said, I'm pressing the Malachi Toney button because he's going to get going and figure it out. And it doesn't matter. But these dudes made the plays. You know what I mean? Shout out to Malachi Toney, all-time record holder for receptions in a season and yards in a season. And I mean, overall, ever in Miami Hurricanes history. So not just freshmen, ever. There were guys making plays, kept us in it. Defense, also, I really hated the official scorer for the game because they reclassified a couple sacks as no yardage runs.
That's stupid.
So we went from 9 TFLs and 5 sacks to 6 TFLs and 3 sacks. And that is not what it was while the game was going on, but whatever. But yeah.
Let me ask you a question real quick before we continue on with the fourth quarter, which is Shannon Dawson's play calling last night.
Mm-hmm.
First half or second half.
Mm-hmm.
You're I don't I didn't understand what we were trying to do in the first half versus
I did. We just weren't able to do it.
I guess it didn't seem like I felt like Shannon Dawson added a lot of creativity to the offense if they needed it. If Mark Fletcher could just pound the rock, they were going to do that. But I didn't know what was up in the first half. Second half, things got a little more open. Was able to get guys in space. CJ Daniels got a good pass. Malachi went off. All of that stuff, which helped Mark Fletcher, do his thing. He got another touchdown. So I don't know, man. I wasn't convinced with the offensive game plan to begin with. To be honest with you.
I understood it. I would have maybe tweaked a couple things, but we just didn't execute. And that's the thing, you had, again, I love to go back to low statistics, but I mean, you had 3rd and 5 incomplete, 3rd and 2 no gain, 3rd and 1 no gain. You know what I mean? In the second, both of those were in the second quarter. So those are hey, this is very makeable, very gettable. We're going to do what we do in the run game, execute your blocks, and we keep it moving. And you're unable to do so. So I understood the methodology, especially on those plays. But to me, this game in total felt a lot like Georgia Tech 2024, last year's Georgia Tech game, where 80% of the game, Miami had pretty solid control. But the opponent won every single money down, both sides of the ball. And that was what Indiana did. They are cyborgs. They are a machine. They just kept it going. They made every play that had to be made in a money down, whether they had the ball or whether they were on defense. And that is how it manifested itself. And that was really what made Miami struggle.
So we get to the fourth quarter. Beginning of the fourth quarter, Mark Fletcher scores on the 3-yard run. It was a 10-play drive, 81 yards. And then it's 17-14 at that point. And you're like, okay, game on, let's go. And then there was a drive by Fernando Mendoza in Indiana, 12 plays, 75 yards. And it ends with an amazing 12-yard run by Fernando Mendoza where he seemed to run through the entire Miami defense who got hands and bodies on him, but it didn't matter.
That was, had the award ceremonies not happened, that was your Heisman moment.
Oh, yeah. 1,000%.
And, I said, I was like that. And basically you can translate that into that's your championship moment.
Yeah.
That was it. It was, and, I was very interested to see what Indiana did there. So they lined up to go for it. And then they ran on the field goal team late in the clock.
They called timeout.
Like with 12 seconds or 13 seconds left on the play clock. Then they were like, no, kick it. And so obviously Miami's going to go slow tempo on their defensive substitutions because you can do that. And then they call timeout. And then they're like, nah, F that noise. Go for it. Boom.
So after Mendoza scores, I was somewhere inside the concourse and I was hearing the radio call, Sean McDonough on the radio call. And they were talking about, the reason why they called timeout was because they had substitution. Like there was someone on Indiana evidently that didn't know who was supposed to be on the field. They had substitution issues.
Oh, major issues. It was crazy.
Right. So like, think about it. If they get their process down right, they end up kicking the field goal.
Mm-hmm.
They call a timeout and now Cignetti thinks about it and then they go for it and then Mendoza scores.
Well, I mean, he had obviously been thinking about it
right, exactly.
Almost 30 seconds with the offense on the field, communicating a play, and then kill, go. And it was it looked like an elementary school change, class change or recess. They were just
exactly.
Mr. Johnson, everybody stop, blow the whistle. You know what I mean? And like that play. I mean, that's another play on the list of if it goes differently, if, we get Mendoza on there. And it was a called QB draw, by the way. Gee, Willikers. I mean, yeah, just crazy stuff.
And by the way, Corey Heatherman said they knew what was coming. They just had a miscommunication. And he said, it's on me. I didn't have coach call timeout. Should have called a timeout. We knew what was coming because in fourth and medium in these situations, that's what they run. From that formation.
Right. Well, there you go. We've talked about the Carson Beck miscommunication. Well, we not talked about it, but we know the Carson Beck miscommunication with Keelan Marion on the last play, and so there was that. You have other ones clearly on offense through the game, and then you have that one on defense where I thought that Mario called a couple of good timeouts because there was some confusion defensively in some other instances, including before the one down fullback dive touchdown run. From Indiana earlier in the game. But yeah, I mean, hey, that's another one. Add it to the list. All of these things, and with a team as good as Indiana.
Yeah, you can't make mistakes.
The margins are so thin. And we did all of the wrong things. 7 penalties, 3 of which, 2 gave direct first downs.
Mm-hmm.
A third negated a stop on third down. That was the Bain offside.
Yep, correct.
And then you convert the next one. So 3 of our 7 penalties gave them first downs, basically. You're not going to give them extra chances and live to tell about it. This is what we were talking about. And again, all of these things led to a 6-point margin of defeat, guys. Those are the margins. 1 play, 2. If we had 3 of the plays we've talked about go the other way, we win by 10. Like, that's how close these margins are.
So, okay, Malachi Tony scores.
Tony scores.
And that made it, what did that make it? 20, that made it, Malachi Tony scores and makes it 24-21. Miami's down by 3. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
It was a great 8-play, 91 yards in 2 minutes and 34 seconds. That's amazing offensive efficiency right there. And then Indiana gets the ball and has a 5-minute drive to kick a field goal to go up by 6. And now, listen, lucky for us, they jumped off. I think they jumped off sides. And that moved them back. And then that's what forced them to have to kick the field goal rather than maybe score a touchdown.
But the defense also stepped up in the red zone when they needed to there, But that false start was helpful and everything. But and Mario called the timeouts when he needed to, how he needed to. Again, managing that section of the game to get the ball back with 1:42, 75 yards from a championship. All right.
I'll give you this to take it further because Miami starts off slow, but then executes a drive. They're on the plus side of the 50 with just about 50 seconds left.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, now you're like, maybe you hit a couple short passes to get first downs. The clock stops, you clock it. Maybe you get one outside, you get out of bounds.
Yeah.
But what ended up happening was
not that.
Not that. And I don't listen. I don't know. Like Keelan Marion took blame. Carson Beck took blame. Everyone's taking blame. I don't know.
There's blame to go around. It was both. I mean, like, miscommunication is not just one person. Like, even if I tried to communicate well with you, Brian, and you're looking at shiny objects or playing with a fidget spinner or whatever, like, that's on me too, because I have to take into account the recipient of my communication. So, like, it's both. That the thing that got me, I mean, and the Indiana defensive coordinator said they had it. They caught us in the coverage. The safety stepped to the middle. Like if they're running verticals there, they caught us. That was the game. And I have several friends who are Miami fans, and they've been, football players and coaches and everything. And each one of them that I talked to today said they saw the snap and they saw the route combo and they saw Carson go to throw and they said, that's a touchdown. We're going to like championship. Every single one of them, multiple people. The thing that struck me on that play, and that was coming directly towards where we were, I could tell that there was a miscommunication. And like, I didn't hear the, TV coverage because like I was in the stadium, you know what I mean? But looking at the Indiana defender, and he went and got on his horse and put that into sixth gear to go get that ball, while Keelan Marion is, running a route at 75, 80% speed, but not like, oh my God, I got to go get that. And I could just tell from the way that they were moving differently on the field. I was like, he sees the ball, or he's dialed into what's happening and he's not. And unfortunately, it was the player on defense who was dialed in. And yeah, just absolute heartbreak.
Jamari Sharp, you know who he is, right?
He is Glenn Sharp's nephew.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. For those that don't know, Glenn Sharp was the player that pass interference was called on in the Fiesta Bowl in 2000. Well, technically 2003, 2002 season.
Mm-hmm.
There's that big happy story. Real quick, two more things before we take a quick break, and then we'll quickly recap the season, and then we'll let you get out of here. One, do you think Carson Beck was right after he got slammed into the ground on the
roughing the passer early in that last drive?
Yeah,
it didn't strike me that he was,
because from my vantage point, I felt like he got up and was off. It was not right.
Like,
and when asked in the post game, hey, how do you feel after that? My ears are ringing, and I'm like, okay. The reason. Okay, so again, in the post game press conference, I'm sitting next to Andrea Adelson from ESPN. We were both at the Fiesta Bowl in 2002, whatever. And Ken Dorsey, that's when he got absolutely bludgeoned the last drive, and he was bell rung, but now we would say definitely a concussion, because I was alone with him in the locker room after the game and saw him with the towel on his head and was told as much. But he wasn't right when he threw that pass to Eric Winston that wasn't there. So we both looked at each other like, hey, did you have deja vu? Yeah, I had deja vu. Wow, Carson didn't look right. No, it reminded me of blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I just felt like he wasn't right. Not that you were going to – listen, at that point, what are you going to do? But –
I mean, if he was unhealthy, then, like, take him out of the game. That is what it is.
You're not going.
You absolutely are. But, I mean, look, football is a collision sport, and that was a collision. That was not contact. And, like, I'm not saying that in a bad way. That's what it is. And, it wasn't an issue when he completed the other passes.
No, I know.
So I'm not going to sit here and try to – we disagree on that. I don't –
okay,
I didn't see that. I don't believe that.
Last but not least on the game, both sides could complain about officiating, right? Like, Yeah, there was a late hit on Mendoza that wasn't called, but also there was like 17 pass interferences on Indiana that wasn't called, but also there was I thought the game was fairly officiated.
I thought it was poorly officiated. I thought it was evenly poorly officiated.
No, well, okay. Yes, poorly officiated, but poorly for both sides.
I would put more of the poor officiating on the Miami side, simply because we had more penalties than Indiana did, and they had more uncalled penalties because they got away with stuff in the secondary multiple times. But yeah, I don't think it was a well officiated game at all. I think it's skewed in their
again,
favor.
That's not the reason Miami lost the game.
At all. Like I said, I've gone for years to say, go out of my way to, evaluate the performance as the performance until this last point. But yeah, I agree. It was not well officiated. And the dearth in officiating definitely benefited Indiana from multiple calls that went against Miami and that did not go against Indiana, even inclusive of whatever they want to say on the other side. Because I'm not going to say that there weren't any things that were missed for Miami, but yeah, it was skewed in that way. But that's my view.
All right, we're going to take a break. On the other side, we'll just kind of do the 35,000-foot view of this season, and we will have more for you later in the week. So don't think that we are just giving up on you. We will give you all the Canes coverage you want. We'll be back after this on the Real Ones Canes podcast. Back here on the Real Ones Canes podcast after Miami loses to Indiana in the national championship game, 27-21. Miami ends the season at 13-3, number 2 in the rankings. Cam, if you were to sum up this season, your thoughts would be?
An unquestioned success. This is the step forward that we were looking for from Mario Cristobal. And the Miami Hurricanes, he is the one who kept saying that, every year we take a step forward, 5-7, 7-5, 10-2, or 10-3 last year. I predicted 11-1 in the regular season. We came a game short of that at 10-2, but, we made it into the playoff and then made it to the national championship game. Look, I said there were a couple of people who were kind of looking for additional real estate. So they saw some open standing area in my row after all of the, kids went down to the field for the final couple minutes. So they're standing over there. I was talking to them and said, hey, if it was noon Monday and somebody tells me Canes down 6, just under 2 minutes left with the ball on the 25, chance to go 75 yards to score a touchdown and win a championship, do you take it? Unequivocally, yes. Of course. And I know that, of course, rival fans, Florida State fans, people, they're going, look at, all the Georgia people who had drafts in their, on their Twitter for months, talking about, Carson Beck throws the interception to lose y'all. Y'all been waiting to say that since the SMU game, which, wasn't even really his fault, but you know what I mean? It's been 3 months at this point that y'all been sitting on that kind of a thing to talk about. But what they did, all these other fans and everyone, is they watched the University of Miami play for a championship and basically come up a play short. If you asked me that in preseason, would I take that? And would that be a successful season? Absolutely. Does it hurt? Yes. Am I gutted and devastated? Yes. Did I fully believe that we were going to have the same kind of result that we did against Ole Miss and walk down that field and score a late touchdown to secure a championship? I 100% did. So, yeah, an unquestioned success of a season. I don't believe you can view it any other way. What's your thought?
My thought is this. I did not expect to be in the national championship game this year. So 1,000% exceeded my expectations. I had us losing 3 games this year. We did end up doing that, but I didn't include the national championship game in my 3 losses. So we did better than I thought we were going to do in the regular season. The run we went on in the postseason was just historic. I mean, you tell me, if you told me before the season, hey, you can get the national championship game, but you're going to have to beat Texas A&M, Ohio State, Ole Miss. You're going to have to go on the road. You're not going to have a home game. I mean, What do you
give it to me, baby? Like,
Yeah,
yes, I'll take it. Cool.
Yeah. I would just take it. I would take it all day. Hey, here's the bottom line: is I said this in a video I posted on YouTube and TikTok earlier. By the way, go follow us on YouTube and TikTok. Real Ones Canes podcast. Brian the Beast London talks Hurricanes. Cam Underwood is amazing. Go check out Cam's stuff at State of the U. I said this earlier, which is, Miami won 5 championships despite the fact that they really were ill prepared behind the scenes from every aspect of the athletic department to really be a consistent winner. They somehow pulled it off because they had the greatest players in the country in their backyard, and then were really great at recruiting other guys from around the country, and then had good coaches like Jimmy Johnson, Dennis Erickson. I won't say Larry Coker because he's the best team of all time, but Butch Davis built that team. So because of that ability, they were able to overcome all their inefficiencies everywhere else on campus to win the championships. But they really weren't built to. It wasn't like Miami was an Ohio State or a Texas or a behemoth of an athletic department that was pouring all this money into it to have an operation that was like a speeding 18-wheeler down a highway. It was, crap, we just won again. How do we do that? I don't know, but let's just keep doing whatever we're doing, which wasn't enough. And then they lost their way for 20-something years. Mario Cristobal, between Joe Echeverria, the president, Rudy Fernandez, and Dan Radakovich, and Mario Cristobal, and Dennis Smith, and everyone in the football, they have now found their way and found their footing. And I believe this thing is built, maybe not to get to the Natty every year, but to be in the conversation of where we always wanted them to be consistently, as long as we keep this going.
Yeah, I mean, this is a program that is built to be among the best in college football. We're at the forefront of the transfer portal, even going back as far as De'Aaron King, we're not new to this, you know what I mean? But like taking those successes previously, but then really scaling that. This is what it should look like.
Yeah.
I wrote it after the Ohio State game, I think, even. This is the proof of concept. Like, this is not – we're not in the testing phase. This is not in the, pre-construction. We're not in the alpha. We're not even in the beta. Like, this is full release, full optimization. This is the start of what we are to be. Right. I think I saw – I forget who said it. It might have been Mike Ryan. It might have been somebody else who said, this is not the most talented Miami team that Mario Cristobal will have here, which is like, well, yeah. And then you think about it, like, I don't think you're wrong, with the incredible way that high school recruiting is going, the way that the player development internally is going, and then adding in from the portal, how that is going, So, yeah, I feel very strongly about the state of this program in a positive way, the state of the U, if you will. See what I did there. But yeah, this is where we should be in the playoffs, in this kind of conversation. And yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say this is going to be a video game dynasty on freshmen where you just walk to the national championship every single year. But like, we're back in the building. Like, we're not on the outside, we're not outside the club, talking about, oh, well, we have to, I'm not going to call people's names, but like, there have been so many players who have played here who like were not Miami caliber. Yeah. And we're even seeing some who were on this roster this year, even today saying, I'm going to go seek shelter elsewhere. And like, yeah, but this is what it should look like. This is the vision. Obviously, we need a little bit of a better performance in the championship game to, earn and, deserve victory. We came up short against a very, very strong opponent, and the margins are very, very thin. So, again, credit to Indiana, a worthy champion, but also credit to the University of Miami Hurricanes, credit to everybody who's there. And I know that it hurts and I know that it sucks, but, like, we have to hold our heads high, just like I told Ole Miss. I said, it was a great challenge. It was a great game. Just somebody has to lose. And it ended up being Miami this time. But, proud of the effort, proud of everybody. even with the deficiencies in performance that led to us losing. But yeah, I'm super proud of this team. I'm super proud of every single person who's here, and look forward to running it back and continuing the journey towards the top.
And we will do that right here in the Real Ones Canes podcast. Like, subscribe, share, follow us wherever you can. Please go check out all of Cam's work at StateOfTheU.com. Him and his staff do an amazing job. Go do that. I urge you, we will be back with plenty more. We will see you next time right here on the Real Ones Canes podcast. Peace.